The gavel cracked like a gunshot in the stifling heat of the Seville courtroom, silencing the murmurs that had been building like a summer storm. Kara Whitaker's heart slammed against her ribs as the judge's voice boomed. "Ms. Whitaker, you will answer the question. Did you or did you not forge those property documents to sabotage Mr. Hargrove's development?" But it wasn't the accusation that broke her. It was Viviana's hand slipping away from hers under the table, cold and final, as if the woman she'd loved for 3 years had just carved out her soul with a glance. Kara stared at the ornate ceiling of the Palacio de Justicia, its faded frescoes mocking her with images of blindfolded justice holding scales that suddenly felt tipped against her. The air was thick with the scent of aged wood and distant olive groves wafting through the open windows, a reminder that she was a world away from the rainy streets of Portland, where she'd once dreamed of starting over. At 35, with a 5-year-old daughter named Mia whose laughter was the only anchor in her unraveling life, Kara had come to Spain chasing a fresh start, a crumbling finca in the Andalusian hills that promised quiet mornings and soil that didn't judge. But now here she was, a single mom from Oregon, pitted against Elias Hargrove, the silver-tongued billionaire whose empire of luxury resorts had swallowed half the Costa del Sol. It had started innocently enough, or so she'd told herself in the sleepless nights that followed. 2 years ago, Kara had inherited the finca from a distant aunt, an eccentric American expat who'd fled the States in the 70s for reasons Kara never fully understood. Something about free love and dodging the draft, though the draft had ended long before. The property was a relic, terracotta roofs sagging under bougainvillea, olive trees older than the Spanish Civil War, and a view of the Sierra Nevada that could make you believe in second chances. Kara, fresh off a bitter divorce from Mia's father, a man who'd chosen his career over family, saw it as salvation. "We'll grow tomatoes, Mija," she'd whispered to Mia on the flight over, her daughter's tiny hand in hers. "And you'll learn to say hola to the goats." But Elias Hargrove had other plans. His company, Hargrove Horizons, specialized in turning sleepy Spanish villages into playgrounds for the ultra-wealthy. Villas with infinity pools overlooking the Mediterranean. Spas that charged more for a massage than Kara made in a month waitressing back home. The finca sat smack in the middle of his latest project, a sprawling eco-resort that promised sustainable luxury, while bulldozing anything in its path. When Hargrove's lawyers first approached her with an offer, generous they said, enough to buy a condo in Malaga and send Mia to international school, Kara had laughed it off. "This isn't just land," she told them over coffee in a plaza cafe, the clink of espresso cups underscoring her resolve. "It's home." They didn't take no for an answer. Letters turned to calls to veiled threats. Then came the accidents. A burst pipe that flooded the kitchen, a fire in the barn that the local fire department chalked up to faulty wiring. Kara knew better. She hired a lawyer, a sharp young woman named Viviana Ruiz, whose office overlooked the Guadalquivir River, and whose reputation preceded her like a flamenco dancer's skirt, fierce, unyielding, and impossible to ignore. Viviana was 32, with eyes like polished chestnuts and a laugh that could disarm a room full of skeptics. Born in Seville to a family of teachers, she'd studied law in Madrid before returning to fight for the little guy against the big developers. Their first meeting was electric, or at least that's how Kara remembered it now, through the haze of betrayal. Viviana had leaned across her desk, sleeves rolled up, revealing a tattoo of a blooming jasmine on her forearm. "Tell me everything, Kara. No filters. We're in this together." And they were for a while. Late nights poring over deeds in Viviana's apartment, takeout paella cooling on the coffee table as Mia napped on the couch, stolen glances over legal briefs, the brush of fingers when passing a pen. It wasn't until a rainy evening 3 months in, with thunder rattling the shutters, that Viviana finally closed the distance. "I can't pretend anymore," she'd said, her voice a whisper against Kara's collarbone. "You're under my skin, Americana." Kara had melted into her, the world narrowing to the taste of salt and red wine on Viviana's lips. It was love, raw and unpolished, the kind that bloomed in the cracks of hardship. They built a life in stolen moments. Picnics in the finca's orchard, where Viviana taught Mia to identify wild herbs. Quiet evenings on the balcony, Kara's head on Viviana's shoulder, watching ferries glide along the river like ghosts of forgotten promises. For the first time since her ex had walked out, Kara felt seen. Not as a mom scrambling to make ends meet, but as a woman with fire in her veins. But love, Kara learned, was a fragile thing in the shadow of power. Hargrove's team dug deep, unearthing Kara's past like archaeologists at a dig site. Her divorce records, Mia's school reports, even an old custody battle where Kara had fought tooth and nail to keep her daughter. They painted her as unstable, desperate. A forger who'd falsified documents to inflate the finca's value and block the development. The evidence was damning. Altered timestamps on the deed, emails from a burner account that looked suspiciously like Kara's handwriting. "I didn't do it," Kara had sobbed to Viviana that night, the rain lashing the windows like accusations. Viviana held her, murmuring assurances in Spanish, her fingers tracing soothing circles on Kara's back. "We'll fight it. I know you, Kara. You're the strongest person I know." The trial was a circus, the Andalusian sun beating down on the courthouse like divine judgment. Hargrove sat in the front row each day, his Armani suits a stark contrast to Kara's thrift store blouses, his lawyer, a slick Englishman named Percival Thorne, a barracuda in pinstripes. Witnesses paraded through, neighbors who'd been persuaded to testify about Kara's erratic behavior, experts who swore the documents were tampered with. Kara took the stand on day 5, her voice steady as she recounted the inheritance, the threats, the sabotage. "This finca isn't about money," she said, meeting Hargrove's icy blue eyes. "It's about roots. For my daughter. For all of us who call this place home." The courtroom held its breath, but Thorne pounced. "Ms. Whitaker, isn't it true you have a history of deception? Your ex-husband alleged emotional manipulation in the divorce." "Objection." Viviana shot up, her voice a whip crack. "Sustained," the judge grumbled, but the damage was done. Whispers rippled through the gallery like wind through wheat. That night, back in Viviana's apartment, Kara collapsed onto the bed. Mia already asleep in the guest room with her stuffed olive tree, Viviana's silly gift from their first date. "What if we lose?" Kara whispered, her face buried in the pillow. Viviana slid in beside her, pulling her close. "We won't. Trust me." But trust, Kara realized too late, was a currency Hargrove traded in counterfeit. The turning point came on a sweltering Tuesday, the kind of day where the heat mirages danced on the cobblestones outside. Viviana arrived late to court, her usual poise cracked like dry earth. She avoided Kara's eyes during the recess, busying herself with papers that trembled in her hands. When they finally spoke in the shadowed hallway, Viviana's words fell like stones. "Kara, there's something I have to tell you." Kara's stomach twisted. "What? Is it the case? Did Thorne find something new?" Viviana swallowed, her dark curls frizzing in the humidity. "It's me. Before I took your case, Hargrove's firm approached me, offered a partnership. I turned them down, but they have dirt on my family. My brother, he's in debt bad. Gambling. They threatened to expose it, ruin us." Kara's world tilted. "And you didn't tell me? All this time. I thought I could handle it. I was protecting us." Viviana's eyes glistened, but Kara stepped back, the betrayal a chasm opening between them. "Protecting me? By lying? God, Viv, how can I trust anything now?" The bell rang, summoning them back to the fray, but the real battle had just begun. Not in the courtroom, but in the fragile heart Kara had dared to open. As the afternoon wore on, Thorne called his star witness, a forensic accountant who dissected the documents with surgical precision. "Clear signs of alteration, Your Honor. Ink analysis doesn't lie." Viviana cross-examined, her questions sharp as ever, but Kara caught the flicker, the hesitation in her lover's stance, the way her gaze darted to Hargrove's table. Was it guilt? Or something worse? By evening, the sun dipping low over the Giralda Tower, Kara gathered Mia from the sitter and drove back to the finca in silence. The radio played a mournful flamenco tune, strings wailing like her thoughts. Mia chattered about school, her small voice a lifeline. "Mama, when can Vivi come read stories again?" "Soon, baby," Kara lied, choking on the words. But as she tucked Mia in under the stars, doubt gnawed at her. What if Viviana's confession was just the tip? What secrets had she buried to shield them both? The next morning brought clarity, cruel and unyielding. Kara woke to her phone buzzing. An anonymous text. Check the server. Viviana's emails. Hargrove pays well for loyalty. Attached was a link. A shared drive that Kara opened with shaking hands on her ancient laptop. The files unfolded like a house of cards. Correspondence between Viviana and Thorne. Timestamps from months ago. Client insists on plea deal. Offer Whitaker a payout to drop charges. Then worse. Ruiz, your brother's debt is cleared upon delivery of the altered deed sample. Discreetly. Kara's breath caught. Viviana hadn't just hidden threats. She'd played both sides, feeding just enough to Hargrove to keep the wolves at bay while swearing allegiance to Kara. The betrayal sliced deeper than any courtroom barb. How many nights of whispered promises had been laced with deceit? The woman who'd held her through nightmares had been the architect of them. Tears blurred the screen as Mia patted in, rubbing sleep from her eyes. Mama? Why are you crying? Kara pulled her close, the Finca's stone walls closing in. Just remembering a story that didn't end happy, Mija. But stories, Kara knew, weren't finished until the last page. And hers was far from over. The drive back to Seville was a blur of hairpin turns and eucalyptus-scented wind whipping through the open windows of Kara's battered Renault. Mia dozed in the back, her stuffed goat clutched tight, oblivious to the storm brewing in her mother's chest. Kara gripped the wheel until her knuckles whitened, replaying the emails in her mind like a bad loop of film noir. Viviana's words, clinical, detached, clashed with the memory of her soft murmurs in the dark. Te quiero, Kara. More than this fight, more than anything. By the time Kara pulled up to the courthouse, the midday sun was a relentless interrogator, baking the plaza in waves of heat. She spotted Viviana near the fountain, pacing with her phone to her ear, her silk blouse clinging in the humidity. For a split second, Kara almost turned away, let the current of tourists sweep her into anonymity. But Mia's future, the Finca's soil under her nails, the promise of stability, demanded confrontation. Viv, Kara called, her voice steadier than she felt. Heads turned, but Viviana froze, ending her call mid-sentence. Kara? I thought you were bringing Mia to my place after. Save it. Kara thrust her phone forward, the screen glowing with the damning thread. Explain this. Now. Viviana's face drained of color, her brown eyes widening like a doe in headlights. How did you? Kara, it's not what you think. They coerced me. I never sent the deed. I stalled them, bought time. Bought time? By selling me out. Kara's whisper was venomous, drawing wary glances from passers-by. You let them think I was the villain, Viv. For what? To clear your brother's slate. Viviana reached for her arm, but Kara jerked back. Please listen. Elias Hargrove isn't just corrupt. He's a monster. He bankrupted my family once before. My father worked for one of his early ventures, lost everything in a restructuring. I took your case to make it right, but when they came at me, I panicked. I fed them scraps, nothing real. I swear. The sincerity in her voice cracked Kara's armor, but not enough. Trust isn't scraps, Viviana. It's all or nothing. And you chose nothing. With that, Kara scooped up Mia, who blinked awake and waved shyly at Viviana. Hi, Vivi. Hola, mi soul, Viviana replied, her smile brittle as spun sugar. She watched them go, the distance between them growing with each step toward the courtroom doors. Inside, the air was cooler but no less charged. The judge, a stern woman named Senora Morales with silver-streaked hair and a no-nonsense glare, called the session to order. Thorne rose, his accent clipped and superior. Your Honor, new evidence has come to light regarding Ms. Whitaker's motives. We move to dismiss based on fraud. Viviana stood slowly, her voice a thread of steel. Objection, Your Honor. The defense requests a recess to verify these claims. Morales's gavel hovered. Granted. 30 minutes. Use them wisely, counsel. In the holding room, a cramped space with vending machine coffee and peeling paint, Kara cornered Viviana. If you're lying now, it's over. For the case, for us. Everything. Viviana nodded, tears carving tracks through her mascara. I know. Let me fix this. There's a way, Hargrove's shell companies. I've been digging. If we expose the real forgeries, the ones his team planted. Kara searched her face, seeing the woman who'd danced with her at a street festival, skirts swirling under lantern light, the one who'd bandaged Mia's scraped knee with a story about brave little knights. One chance, Viv. Don't make me regret it. The recess ended, and Viviana took the floor like a gladiator entering the Colosseum. She projected documents onto the screen, ledgers from Hargrove's offshore accounts, emails between Thorne and a shadowy fixer named Raoul. Your Honor, the prosecution's evidence traces back to a IP address linked to Hargrove Horizon's Madrid office. Not my client's home. And these. She clicked forward, revealing bank transfers. 50,000 euros to an anonymous account, timestamped the day after Kara rejected the buyout. The courtroom erupted in gasps. Hargrove shifted in his seat, his smirk faltering for the first time. Thorne blustered. This is circumstantial. Slander. But Morales leaned forward, eyes narrowing. Mr. Thorne, control your outbursts. Ms. Ruiz, proceed. Viviana's presentation was a masterclass in controlled fury. Charts mapping the billionaire's web of deceit, witness statements from former employees coerced into silence. Kara watched, pride warring with pain in her chest. This was the woman she loved, fierce and flawed, fighting not just for justice but redemption. As the session adjourned for the day, Hargrove stormed out, his entourage trailing like scolded interns. Kara lingered, Mia tugging at her skirt. Did we win, Mama? Not yet, baby. But we're getting there. Viviana approached hesitantly, her briefcase a shield. Kara, thank you. For believing even a little. Don't thank me yet. Kara's tone softened. Dinner tonight? At the finca. Mia wants her night stories. Viviana's smile was tentative, a bridge over the chasm. I'd like that. The evening unfolded like a truce. Kara fired up the grill on the patio, the sizzle of chorizo mingling with jasmine from the trellis. Mia chased fireflies as the sun bled orange over the hills, her giggles a bomb. Viviana arrived with a bottle of Rioja and a stack of picture books, her hair loose and wind-tousled. They ate under the stars, the conversation skirting the edges of raw wounds. I grew up in a house full of secrets, Viviana confessed over dessert. Flan Kara had made from a neighbor's recipe. Papa hid his failures to protect us. I thought I was doing the same. Kara nodded, fork paused midair. And I ran from mine. The divorce, the custody fight, it made me build walls. With you I let them down. That scares me more than Hargrove. Their hands met across the table, fingers lacing like roots seeking soil. Mia, sensing the shift, climbed into Viviana's lap. Tell the story about the lady knight who saves the castle. Viviana obliged, her voice weaving magic. A brave duchess betrayed by her advisor, who uncovers a plot with the help of a loyal scribe. Kara listened, seeing parallels too close for comfort. As Mia drifted off, Viviana carried her to bed, tucking her in with a kiss on the forehead. In the doorway, Kara leaned against the frame. Stay. Viviana's eyes searched hers. Only if you mean it. They ended up on the old swing under the olive tree, the night air cool against their skin. No grand declarations, just quiet truths. I forgive you, Kara murmured, her head on Viviana's shoulder. But don't hide from me again. Never, Viviana promised, her lips brushing Kara's temple. It wasn't passion's fire but embers warm, enduring. The next day in court brought the storm's eye. Morales reconvened, her expression unreadable. Ms. Ruiz, your evidence is compelling. Mr. Hargrove, your response. The billionaire took the stand himself, a rare move that reeked of arrogance. Tall and imposing with a jaw like chiseled marble, he leaned into the mic. This is a witch hunt, Your Honor. Ms. Whitaker is an opportunist, plain and simple. My company brings jobs, progress. Viviana interrupted with a photo. Hargrove shaking hands with Raoul at a gala, the fixer clutching a briefcase. Progress built on bribes? Your eco-resort violated every environmental law in Andalusia. Fines paid under the table to local officials. Hargrove's facade cracked, a vein pulsing at his temple. Lies. That man's a fraud. Yet your signature's on the checks, Viviana countered, sliding copies across the bench. The gallery buzzed. Thorne called for mistrial, but Morales silenced him with a bang. Enough. Bailiff, escort Mr. Hargrove into custody pending investigation. Trial resumes tomorrow on the fraud charges against the plaintiff. Dismissed. But as confetti of relief settled, Kara's phone vibrated. A message from an unknown number. Hargrove's not done. Watch your back. The real forgery is in your hands. Her blood ran cold. What now? The finca felt like a sanctuary that night, its stone walls glowing under the harvest moon as Kara and Viviana sat on the veranda, a bottle of anise liqueur between them. Mia was tucked away, dreaming of nightly adventures, but sleep eluded Kara. The anonymous text gnawed at her, a splinter under the skin of their hard-won peace. "What if it's a bluff?" she asked, swirling the golden liquid in her glass. Hargrove's cornered. He lashes out. Viviana's profile was sharp against the starlit hills, her expression a map of worry lines. "Bluff or not, we can't ignore it. I've got contacts in Madrid, investigators who owe me favors. Let me reach out." Kara hesitated, the ghost of betrayal still whispering. "No more secrets, Viv. If we're doing this, it's together." "Together," Viviana echoed, sealing it with a clink of glasses. Their kiss was soft, a reaffirmation amid uncertainty. Lips meeting like old friends, hands cupping faces with the tenderness of survivors. Dawn broke with a phone call that shattered the fragile calm. It was Morales's clerk. "Ms. Whitaker, new developments. Hargrove's posted bail, but there's a countersuit. Claims you withheld key documents during discovery. Be in court by 9. Kara's stomach plummeted. "What documents?" "Details classified until hearing. But it involves your aunt's will." The drive to Seville was tense. Mia's booster seat a reminder of stakes beyond legal jargon. Viviana drove, her knuckles white on the wheel. "Your aunt, she left the finca clean, right? No liens." "As far as I know." Kara stared out at the passing vineyards, memories flooding. Aunt Lydia, wild-haired and whiskey-voiced, visiting Portland once with tales of bull runs and moonlit fiestas. She was a free spirit. Said the finca was her piece of forever. Never mentioned complications. Court was a pressure cooker. Hargrove wasn't there. His absence a calculated slight, but Thorne was, flanked by a new attorney, a bulldog of a man named Lopez with a mustache like a broom bristle. "Your Honor," Thorne began. "While the fraud charges against Ms. Whitaker are dropped, discovery reveals she suppressed material evidence. A codicil to the will, transferring partial ownership to my client via a prior agreement." Viviana bolted up. "Preposterous. No such codicil exists." Thorne smiled, oily as olive oil. He projected a scan page. Yellowed paper, Aunt Lydia's looping script. "In event of my passing, 40% interest in Finca Sol y Sombra to Elias Hargrove, in gratitude for past generosities." Kara's vision tunneled. "That's not." Aunt Lydia hated developers. She would have burned it first. But the notary's seal gleamed authentic. Gasps rippled. Even Morales looked stunned. "Ms. Ruiz, your rebuttal?" Viviana's mind raced visibly. "We request time to authenticate. This could be forged." "Denied," Morales ruled. "Hearing tomorrow. Ms. Whitaker, you're ordered to produce any related correspondence." Outside, Kara paced the plaza, the fountain spray misting her face like unshed tears. "How? Lydia would have told me." Viviana pulled out her phone, dialing her Madrid contact. "Unless Hargrove got to her. Blackmail, maybe." Lydia had skeletons, rumors of an affair, financial troubles. The pieces clicked. The aunt's sudden move to Spain after a scandalous divorce, her vague letters about old debts paid. Kara sank onto a bench, Mia clambering into her lap. "What if the finca's not mine at all?" "Then we fight for it," Viviana said, fierce. "For you, for Mia. It's more than land, it's legacy." That afternoon they drove to the notary's office in Córdoba, a labyrinthine archive smelling of dust and forgotten oaths. The clerk, a bespectacled man named Señor Vargas, unearthed the file with a sigh. "Sí, de codicil. Notarized in 98. Your aunt seemed reluctant. Said it was to settle a loan." "Loan?" Kara echoed. Vargas shrugged. "Details private." But Hargrove was there, charming as ever. Back in the car, Viviana's investigator called. Digging deeper. Lydia Whitaker borrowed heavily from Hargrove in the 90s, for a vineyard startup that tanked. The codicil was collateral. But here's the kicker. Payments stopped after she sold off parcels. Hargrove's been sitting on this, waiting for her death to claim it. Kara's fists clenched. "So he let her die in peace, then pounced on me?" "Classic Hargrove," the investigator grunted. "Ruthless but patient." Rage simmered into resolve. "We expose it. The whole rotten core." Viviana nodded, but her eyes held shadows. Kara, my part in this. If I'd been up front. Stop. Kara cupped her face. We're past that. Now we end it. The evening brought unexpected allies. Over tapas in a dimly lit taberna, Viviana's brother Javier, a lanky artist with paint-flecked hands, joined them. Viv told me everything, he said, sliding a USB drive across the table. Hargrove's goons leaned on me, but I recorded them. Proof of the threats. Kara's throat tightened. You didn't have to. For my sister? For family. Javier grinned wry. Besides, the man's a vampire. Time to stake him. Mia, coloring on a napkin, looked up. What's a vampire, Uncle Javi? He winked. A bad guy who hates sunlight. But your mama? She's the sun. The next day's hearing was electric. Viviana presented the recordings, Hargrove's fixer hissing threats in a backroom deal. Then Javier's testimony, steady and damning. Thorne squirmed, but Lopez countered with motions to suppress. Morales listened, her face a mask. This court will not be a stage for vendettas. However, she paused, scanning the codicil. Forensic review ordered immediately. Adjourned. Whispers followed Kara out. Brava the American, but victory tasted bittersweet. In the hallway, Viviana pulled her aside. Whatever happens, I love you. Not the lawyer you. Kara's heart stuttered. I love you too. The fighter, the storyteller. All of you. Their embrace was interrupted by a commotion. Reporters swarming Hargrove, who burst in flanked by security. His eyes locked on Kara, cold as steel. You think you've won, Whitaker? This is Spain, my Spain. Viviana stepped forward. It's everyone's Spain, senor. Including hers. He laughed, a bark without humor. Enjoy your illusions. The codicil stands. That night, alone in the finca's kitchen, Kara pored over Lydia's old letters, unearthed from a trunk in the attic. Yellowed pages scented faintly of lavender. Tales of love lost. A woman named Elena who'd broken her heart in Madrid. Elias helped me forget, one read. But debts have claws. A photo slipped out. Lydia arm in arm with a younger Hargrove at a fiesta, her smile forced. On the back, gratitude's a chain. Beware. Kara's resolve hardened. The chain ended here. The forensic report arrived at dawn. A courier on a scooter kicking up dust. Viviana read it aloud, her voice rising. Ink mismatch. Codicil dated 98, but composition from 2015. Forgery confirmed. Triumph surged, but so did dread. Hargrove wouldn't go quietly. Court that day was pandemonium. Media trucks lined the street, cameras flashing like paparazzi at a scandal. Inside, Morales entered to a hushed room. The codicil is invalid. Countersuit dismissed. Mr. Hargrove, you are remanded for fraud, forgery, and coercion. Hargrove lunged, but bailiffs pinned him. His glare at Kara was venomous. This isn't over. But as he was led away in cuffs, it felt like it was. Cheers erupted. Kara hugged Viviana. Mia sandwiched between, their family a defiant knot. Yet in the elation, Kara glimpsed the cost. Trust reforged in fire, love tempered by lies. Outside, under the Andalusian sky, Kara breathed free. But whispers of Hargrove's empire lingered. Appeals, shadows. The fight wasn't won. It evolved. Weeks blurred into a tentative normalcy. The finca's rhythms reclaiming Kara like an old melody. Tomatoes ripened on the vines, their red globes a testament to soil unyielded. Mia started school in the village, her backpack bouncing as she waved goodbye each morning, Viviana often walking her hand in hand. The women settled into a deeper intimacy. Not the whirlwind of new love, but the steady pulse of partnership, marked by shared chores and quiet confessions over café con leche. Hargrove's arrest made headlines. Billionaire's Andalusian empire crumbles. Investigations spiderwebbed outward, implicating officials, unraveling resorts built on bribes. Kara's story, the single mom who stood firm, went viral, American outlets dubbing her the Oregon outlaw of Spain. Interview requests piled up, but she declined, preferring the anonymity of her hills. Yet peace was a wary guest. Anonymous calls at odd hours, a slash tire one foggy morning. Viviana's investigator traced them to Hargrove's loyalists, remnants snarling from the sidelines. He's appealing from jail, Viviana warned one evening as they harvested olives, baskets heavy at their feet. Claims diplomatic immunity. His wife's Spanish nobility or some nonsense. Kara wiped sweat from her brow. The son a benevolent tyrant. Let him. We've got the truth now. Truth, however, was a double-edged blade. One crisp October afternoon a letter arrived certified from a Madrid firm. Inside. A settlement offer from Hargrove's estate. 10 million euros to drop all charges. Sign over the finca's mineral rights. A footnote. For the child's future. Kara's hand shook as she showed Viviana. It's blood money. Viviana's jaw set. Burn it. They did in the hearth that night, flames devouring the paper like absolution. Mia watched wide-eyed. Why, Mama? Because some things aren't for sale, mi amor. Like home. Winter crept in with Sirocco winds, stripping leaves and testing foundations. Kara's doubts resurfaced in the quiet hours. Was she enough for Mia, for Viviana? The divorce scars ached, whispering of failure. Viviana sensed it, countering with gestures. A hot water bottle on cold nights. A playlist of Portland indie bands echoing through the kitchen radio. One stormy evening as rain lashed the shutters, Viviana knelt by the fire. Kara Whitaker, you faced down billionaires and betrayals. Marry me? Not for papers or pretty rings for us. To build something unbreakable. Kara's laugh was tear-choked. Yes. God, yes. The proposal sparked a flurry. A simple ceremony in the village church, attended by neighbors who'd brought casseroles during the trial. Javier officiated as witness, Mia scattering petals with gleeful abandon. Kara wore white linen, Viviana a crimson dress that evoked flamenco fire. Vows exchanged under stained glass. In sickness, in storms, in the face of empires. Honeymoon was the finca itself. Lazy days restoring the barn into a studio for Javier's art. Nights tangled in sheets scented with lavender. Love deepened, roots intertwining. Kara teaching Viviana Oregon folk tunes on a borrowed guitar. Viviana sharing recipes from her abuela's journal. But Hargrove's shadow loomed. His appeal hearing loomed in spring, a final gauntlet. Kara testified via video from Seville, recounting the sabotage, the forgeries. Across the screen, Hargrove glowered from his cell, gaunt and unbowed. You ruined me, Whitaker. No, Kara replied evenly. You ruined yourself. The appeals court upheld the verdict, sentencing him to 8 years. His empire fractured, assets seized for restitution. Kara received a check. Not the blood money but reparations for damages. She funneled it into the village. A community center, scholarships for local kids. For the roots that stay, she told the mayor at the ribbon cutting. Summer returned, golden and forgiving. The finca thrived, a bed and breakfast now, Sol y Sombra haven, hosting writers and wanderers seeking solace. Kara managed it with Viviana's legal savvy, Mia's drawings adorning the guest rooms. One twilight, as guests milled on the patio, Kara found Viviana in the orchard, cradling a positive pregnancy test. Adopted or not, our family grows. You ready? Kara's heart swelled. More than ever. They sat amid the olives, Mia chasing a stray cat, the Sierra Nevada a purple silhouette. Betrayal's sting had faded to a scar, a reminder of resilience. Love, Kara learned, wasn't absence of pain but presence through it. Human, messy, profound. In the distance, Seville's bells tolled vespers, a song of endurance. Kara leaned into Viviana, their hands over the curve of possibility. The fight was over, the story just beginning. Epilogue whispers. Years on, Mia, now a teenager with her mother's fire, leads tours of the finca, tales of the mom who toppled a titan. Kara and Viviana, silver-threaded and soft-edged, watch from the swing. Worth it? Viviana asks. Kara smiles, eternal. Every scar.